All 6 movies Leonard Nimoy directed, ranked. Leonard Nimoy will forever be remembered as the iconic Vulcan, Spock, a character so deeply embedded in pop culture that it often overshadowed his remarkable talent behind the camera. While many Star Trek actors have explored directing, Nimoy didn't just step behind the lens. He became one of the most successful actor-turned-directors of his generation. His directorial works range from sci-fi blockbusters to heartfelt dramas and quirky comedies, each stamped with the same thoughtfulness and humanity that defined his performances. Here's a ranked look at all 6 movies Leonard Nimoy directed, from his early, more experimental efforts to the major hits that cemented his place in Hollywood history. 6. Holy Matrimony 1994. Genre: comedy. Starring Patricia Arquette, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Armin Mueller-Stahl. Holy Matrimony marked the end of Leonard Nimoy's film directing career, and unfortunately, it's not the strongest note to go out on. The film's premise is undeniably odd. Patricia Arquette plays Havana, a thief who hides out in a Hutterite community after her partner dies during a heist. The catch? She must marry her deceased partner's younger brother, played by a preteen Joseph Gordon-Levitt, to keep her cover. The film tries to balance romantic comedy and fish-out-of-water humor with cultural satire, but it never quite lands. Despite a few moments of charm, mainly thanks to Gordon-Levitt's surprisingly grounded performance, the tone wobbles between quirky and uncomfortable. It's one of those early 90s studio comedies that feels caught between wanting to be edgy and family-friendly, and ends up being neither. Still, Holy Matrimony is not without merit. Nimoy directs it with his usual attention to character nuance and pacing, and his empathy for outsiders, a theme that runs through much of his work, shines through. Unfortunately, the movie's premise and inconsistent humor couldn't save it from box office obscurity. Why it ranks last: an uneven script and awkward premise undermine Nimoy's solid direction, leaving it as a curious but forgettable footnote in his filmography. 5. The Good Mother 1988. Genre: drama. Starring Diane Keaton, Liam Neeson, Jason Robards. After the massive success of 3 Men and a Baby, Leonard Nimoy pivoted sharply with The Good Mother, an emotionally charged drama that tackled adult themes of love, sexuality, and parental responsibility. Based on Sue Miller's novel, the film stars Diane Keaton as Anna Dunlap, a divorced mother whose relationship with her new lover Liam Neeson leads to a custody battle over her young daughter. Nimoy approached this project with great sensitivity, steering clear of sensationalism in favor of quiet, emotional realism. The film examines how adults' private choices can be judged harshly by societal standards, especially through the lens of parenthood and moral panic. Nimoy, a father himself, directs with empathy and restraint, focusing on Keaton's introspective performance. Critics at the time were mixed. Some praised its maturity, while others found it slow and overly cerebral. Yet in retrospect, The Good Mother stands as one of Nimoy's most personal works, reflecting his deep interest in human relationships and moral complexity. Why it ranks 5th: thoughtful and well acted, but the heavy tone and slow pacing keep it from being one of Nimoy's more accessible or widely celebrated efforts. 4. Star Trek 3. The Search for Spock 1984. Genre: sci-fi/adventure. Starring William Shatner, DeForest Kelley, Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy made his directorial debut with Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, stepping behind the camera right after his character's dramatic death in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It was a bold move, one that carried emotional weight both for fans and for the cast, who were saying goodbye to Spock while Nimoy was calling the creative shots. The result is a movie that's smaller in scale than its predecessor but filled with heart. The Search for Spock is about loyalty, sacrifice, and the bonds of friendship that define the Star Trek ethos. Under Nimoy's direction, the story focuses less on spectacle and more on emotional depth, as Kirk and his crew risk their careers and lives to bring their fallen friend back. Nimoy's direction emphasizes quiet, character-driven moments. Kirk's reaction to his son's death, McCoy's inner turmoil, and the almost spiritual tone of Spock's rebirth on Genesis. Though it doesn't reach the cinematic heights of Wrath of Khan, it laid the groundwork for Star Trek IV's massive success and proved Nimoy had a true director's eye for emotional storytelling. Why it ranks 4th. A heartfelt debut that redefined Star Trek's tone, more emotional than action-packed, and the beginning of Nimoy's successful directorial career. 3. Funny About Love 1990. Genre: romantic comedy. Starring Gene Wilder, Christine Lottie, Mary Stuart Masterson. Funny About Love is perhaps Leonard Nimoy's most overlooked film. a genuinely sweet and sometimes melancholic exploration of love, family, and the biological clock. Gene Wilder plays Duffy Bergman, a New York cartoonist whose desire for a child strains his marriage. When his wife Christine Lottie struggles to conceive, their relationship unravels, leading to heartbreak, unexpected new connections, and a midlife reckoning. The movie walks a fine line between romantic comedy and introspective drama, and while it didn't light up the box office, it's aged surprisingly well. Nimoy's direction is warm and understated, focusing on emotional authenticity rather than big comedic set pieces. Wilder, known for his manic energy, gives one of his most subdued performances, and Nimoy's patient direction allows him to explore grief and longing with real vulnerability. Critics were divided at the time, but in hindsight, Funny About Love feels ahead of its time. Its exploration of infertility, modern relationships, and second chances resonates in a way many rom-coms from the era do not. Nimoy, ever the humanist, gives even minor characters moments of empathy and grace. Why it ranks third, an underrated gem that showcases Nimoy's ability to blend humor and heart, subtle, emotional, and full of humanity. 2 Star Trek 4. The Voyage Home 1986. Genre: sci-fi/comedy/adventure, starring William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley. After the somber tones of The Search for Spock, Leonard Nimoy took Star Trek in a completely different direction with The Voyage Home, and delivered one of the most beloved entries in the entire franchise. This time, the Enterprise crew travels back to 20th century Earth to save the planet by bringing 2 humpback whales to the future. It's absurd on paper, but under Nimoy's direction, it's pure magic. What's most remarkable is how seamlessly Nimoy balances humor with heart. The stakes feel real, but the tone is joyous. It's one of the few Star Trek films that appeals to both hardcore fans and casual audiences, and it became a massive box office hit, the highest-grossing Star Trek film of the original cast era. Why it ranks second, a masterpiece of tone and balance, funny, smart, and deeply human. It cemented Nimoy's reputation as a first-rate director who understood Star Trek's soul. 3 Men and a Baby 1987. Genre: comedy, starring Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, Ted Danson. Yes, the highest-ranking film on this list isn't sci-fi at all. Leonard Nimoy's 3 Men and a Baby was not just a hit, it was a phenomenon. This delightful comedy about 3 carefree bachelors suddenly tasked with raising an abandoned infant became the highest-grossing movie of 1987, topping even Fatal Attraction and Beverly Hills Cop 2. The premise is simple. 3 roommates, an architect, an actor, and an artist find a baby on their doorstep and must learn to care for her. What could have been a one-note slapstick film becomes something much warmer and more emotionally layered under Nimoy's guidance. He treats the story not as a series of gags, but as a journey of unexpected tenderness and growth. Each of the leads brings something different: Selleck's steady warmth,